Welcome to Contracting Conversations. My name is Jim Valley, and I'm joined by my co-host, Scott Williams. Today, we are talking with Ken Karkoff, DAU's Learning Director for Small Business, about the SBP 101, soon to be SBP 1010, Introduction to Small Business Programs, Part A. Ken, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back, and I always welcome an opportunity to talk about one of the small business professional courses.
Okay, Ken, so we talked about the credential. So what can you tell us about this course?
Good question, Jim. So this is really the beginning of the credential. This is foundational learning. It's an online training course. And a reminder, online means that you enrolled and there's no instructor involvement. It's Part A, which means it's part of a sequence. So it's a two-part, Part A and Part B. Part B is actually with an instructor. So this Part A, you'll be doing by yourself. The course covers a lot of information. It talks about the small business vision, goals, the small business culture from several perspectives. One, the view of the functional leader, which in the small business case is the director of the Office of Small Business Programs for the Department of Defense. Right now, it's Mr. Farouk Mitha. But we also look at things from a DoD perspective. For example, what's going on at the acquisition and sustainment, Mr. LaPlante, our boss, and also at the Secretary of Defense level. Secretary Austin often talks about small business and has also provided several communiques on small business. So it's very important to leadership. The course, as I mentioned, it's a foundational, so it's a baseline. It's introductory to small business policy, small business statutory, small business regulatory, talks about the basic tools, policy, all the things that are really important to give you a very good foundational knowledge. It spends a lot of time talking about the small business program as a whole, and then we get into the different socio-economic programs that are available. Finally, the course gets into the expectations of a Department of Defense small business professional. And there are definitely expectations. Small business professionals are expected to be business advisors to their government counterparts, contracting officers, program managers, logisticians, engineers, all of those that are working as well as part of the acquisition process. They're expected to be subject matter experts on all things small business, whether it's statutory, regulatory, policy. Things change a lot. I don't think a day goes by I don't see something in email or the news or policy that's an update or a change to what's going on. So it's very important that the small business professionals understand that they need to be very aware of all the dynamic changes in acquisition, particularly things that impact the small business piece. The course is currently designated as SBP 101, which Jim mentioned in the beginning. It's out for significant revision, and when it is deployed, it will actually be redesignated SBP 1010. And it will be a significant revision and will likely be deployed probably in the early part of calendar year 2023.
Great, really good information, Ken. Appreciate that. And again, what are the type of students that are expected target audience for this particular course?
Well, as I said before, it's really foundational. So this course is really earmarked for the new entrants into the small business professional. We use the term career field. We're not a career field, but it is a career. Generally, they come out of contracting, but more and more they're coming out of other disciplines or functional areas, whether it's program management or engineering. I've seen a couple in logistics. So this is looking for the small business professional. It's either been in their job brand new, couple months, maybe up to 2 years. Some of them may be actually designated in writing by leadership as a small business professional. Some may not have even gotten that far because they need to get some education, i.e. some of the DAU classes before they get designated. And it's also folks that are new to acquisition as well. So maybe they're contract interns or they're logistics interns, individuals that don't have a great depth of time or knowledge in acquisition. This is what they're the target audience for this class.
All right, great, Ken. So how might students transfer this learning to their workplace?
Well, the course, number one, identifies the roles and responsibilities of a small business professional during the entire acquisition process. And then as we work them through a series of discussions, group activities, we work with them and how they can demonstrate that they've acquired the foundational knowledge. One of the key message points is being involved early in the acquisition process. That's a key theme that we're on throughout all of the acquisition courses for small business. But this one, because it really is the beginning, the foundational, we really want to get that message out clearly. We spend time, or the course spends, not we, because it's taught online, but the course spends a lot of time talking about the acquisition planning phase, market research, some of the critical things that need to be done in defining the requirement. We talk about how the acquisition team is formed and functions and the role that the small business professional can provide as an advisor. And this goes all the way through to the actual solicitation, award, and then some of the things, situations that may arise post-award. So it really is kind of not an in-depth, but a very broad overview of the roles and responsibilities that you'll see. This online course prepares students for the virtual class, the virtual instructor-led, which right now is SBP 102V Part B. So Part A is the online course, Part B is with the instructor, where they'll have to demonstrate their comprehension by completing a series of activities, many of which are graded, that are typical of what they're going to do in the workplace. So the constant theme that we have in the small business courses is teaching the small business professionals how to understand and react to and bring value to common situations that they're going to deal with in their workplace. That's really where the learning transfer really takes place.
All right, sounds very interesting and a useful course, especially since it leads you to move on in your career as a small business professional. So how are students assessed? That's a big question that comes from our students. So how are they assessed in this course?
Well, the assessment is a post course exam. The current policy is that. However, I think DAU has moved towards a test through policy, so that probably will be available to students going forward, probably by the time this podcast is posted. Students right now, students are given, if you choose to go through the not test through, students are given 3 attempts to pass an online exam with a minimum score of 80%. If 80% is not achieved after the first attempt, you'll get another test attempt. If you still don't achieve 80% on that third attempt, then you'd have to go back and reapply and take the course over again. The number of questions pretty much stays the same. The topics are going to be fairly close. If you don't pass on the first or second attempt, there is no penalty if you don't pass on the third attempt. You just automatically reapply for the class and go through and then successfully complete the class. It is critical that you pass the course if you are intending on pursuing the SBP 102, because it is the prerequisite for that course. So obviously, if you want to get to that, the virtual course, or you are in the credential and you want to complete the credential, you need to complete this course as the very beginning. After completing the survey, let me take this one over again. After the student completes the course, DAU would really appreciate if you could fill out that end of course survey because it gives us a lot of good information. And just as a reminder, right now, we know the course needs some updating, and that's the reason it's out being revised right now and will be redeployed as SBP 1010 in the near future as a very significant revision.
All right, thanks, Ken. It is critical that students take the surveys. I don't think they realize just how much we review those and use those to help improve our courses. So thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And hey, can our students sign up for SBP 1010, the Introduction to Small Business Programs Part A, which it'll soon be called, without signing up for the entire credential?
Scott, great question. Yeah, absolutely. You have a couple options. You can enroll in the credential, and then you can apply for the courses that are in the credential. And I recommend if you want to reacquaint yourself, go back and listen to the podcast on the small business credential CSBP 001 to kind of refresh you. You can do it that way, or you can individually enroll in the courses without being enrolled in the credential. So it can be done either way. As a reminder to potential students, Because it is an online course, there is no priority for registration. So anybody that has access to DAU learning, which could be basically anybody within the defense acquisition workforce, the federal government, or industry, is eligible to apply for and complete the online course. The reminder for the progression is we really recommend, and particularly me as the learning director, that you take the courses in order. So take the 100 level, then take the 200 level courses. The learning is designed for you to do a natural progression through the courses as you go through those credential required courses.
Great, thanks, Ken. That's a wonderful rundown of this particular course. And again, Jim and I both appreciate you coming to the show today.
Thanks, Scott. This has been wonderful, and I'm really glad to be here, and I'm willing to come back at any time and talk about these small business courses.
Awesome. And again, we're going to have Ken on again to talk about SBP 102V. So look for that segment. It'll be coming around shortly. That's the Introduction to Small Business Programs, Part B. So, folks, that's all the time we have for today. But please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our Contracting Conversations channel. Type any comments below to include your questions for future discussions, and spread the word of this channel to your peers and to those you supervise or lead. Let us help you answer their questions. And as always, we look forward to having future contracting conversations with you.